Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So oftentimes when you're trying to buy a vehicle, a dealership or the sales rep will reach out to you and say, hey, we can secure that vehicle that you're trying to buy, but we need you to put down a deposit. Oftentimes the deposit could be as low as $500, but generally they want to get $1,000 or $1,500 from you just to hold a vehicle. Today I want to talk through why in most cases you're able to get your refund back. So even when they say, hey, this is a non-refundable deposit, I would argue 9 out of 10 times you're able to get your money back. So today I want to walk you through what that looks like and how you go about getting your money back. In addition to that, I didn't put it in the title, but I really want to talk through a separate topic which I feel most consumers are more often subject to when they're buying a vehicle. And I think this is a very important thing to be privy to. So stick with me to the end of this video and I'll talk through it. So up front, let's talk through the few most common scenarios in which you would be asked to put down a deposit on a vehicle. So for those of you who don't know, I actually owned and operated a nationwide auto brokerage service where I did just that. I would find the hard to find vehicles for you guys, negotiate the deals within a distance that you were willing to travel for, and then connect you with the dealer. That's the entire purpose of what I did. So oftentimes, more often than not, in order to secure a vehicle, that dealership required me to put down a $500, well, my client to put down a $500 or $1,000 deposit more often than not. It always kind of varied between those. Very, very rarely did they require anything more than $1,000. So just know that up front. If they're asking you for $2,500 for a deposit, that might be a red flag. So keep it to $1,000 or $500 if you absolutely have to put down a deposit. We had to put down a deposit because more often than not, the vehicles that I was trying to buy were very desirable, hard to find vehicles, right? They were often a 4Runner TRD Pro or a Tundra TRD Pro, a Sequoia TRD Pro, Land Cruiser, blah, 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 blah. They were all very desirable vehicles and they were hard to come by. So we needed to secure that allocation because more often than not, the vehicles that I was buying, they were brand new and they hadn't reached the dealership yet. So that holding deposit served as, hey, putting your name on that allocation upon its arrival, you were going to be the one to buy it. Okay, so when I put those deposits down, there was a few cases, scenarios, when I say a few, probably 6 or 7, that I had to get the deposit back, right? And a couple of them in particular were, hey, this is a non-refundable deposit. You know, and they made that clear up front. Both of them returned the deposit for my clients, okay? So they're gonna do it easily on a vehicle that is easy to sell, right? And it was easier during the time that I was working my auto brokerage service because, well, they knew if we peeled off of that vehicle, we peeled off that Sequoia, somebody else was gonna buy it in a heartbeat. Right now it's a little bit more tricky, right? Because, you know, vehicles are not flying off the shelves, and that's important to know. So the vehicle that you're getting, just know that if it is a kind of a peculiar vehicle and not many people want it kind of a thing, you might be a little bit more hard pressed to get your refund back. So the most important advice I can give you though is when you're putting that deposit down, make sure that you're getting it in writing that that is a refundable deposit, right? And oftentimes they're quick to offer a fully refundable deposit if A, it's a desirable vehicle, like I just mentioned, that they could sell quickly, or B, if the timelines don't match up, right? Say, hey, we expect this vehicle to be in within the next, 6-7 weeks. If that vehicle does not, in fact, come in that duration, again, you want to get it in writing, then you have full authority just to ask for a refund, right? Then you can continue your search elsewhere. Oftentimes with my clients, they would find a vehicle that was coming in, an inbound Tundra, TRD Pro, whatever it was. We'd put a deposit down, a few weeks would go by, but then they would find another Tundra TRD Pro available, like closer to them. And what I did in those cases was I'd reach out to the dealership and say, hey, unfortunately fortunately, we found another Tundra TRD Pro. It's a little bit closer to us. Are you okay if we get a deposit? I would like to get this one. It's a little bit easier for us to get anyway. And every single time they're like, yeah, absolutely, we'll refund you, no problem. Honestly though, part of it was because they knew that they would be able to sell it in a heartbeat upon its arrival to the dealership. So biggest advice though, get it in writing up front, that it is fully refundable, even if it's via text, right? It doesn't need to be super official. You need to sign a document. Some people will say that, but if it's like at least via text with the sales rep saying, hey, yes, you're 100% able to get a refund on this. If you need to, happy to do that. It would take a very particular, a poor dealership, management of a dealership to not honor that kind of a thing, right? If one of their sales reps said, hey, we'll give you a refund, and you got it in writing and text, it'd be a bad look for them, right? And as a worst case scenario, You just want to ask to speak with the new vehicle sales manager. Ask to speak with them if you're getting pushback from your sales rep. And I truly believe if you kill them with kindness, even the dealerships, even the slimy ones, they'll be receptive to you, right? If you just say, hey, circumstances changed, I'm no longer able to get this. Could you help me out? Could you please return my $1,000 deposit? And I would argue in 9 out of 10 cases, we're all human, they'll likely do that for you. And if they don't, by slim chance they don't return it, you do have options, right? I'll start with the most extreme. And kind of back up a little bit. The most extreme is, you can submit them an email CCing the general manager of the dealership saying, hey, I explained our circumstances. Unfortunately, we were able to buy that vehicle that was coming inbound to the dealership, although I really wanted it, but you guys refuse to return a deposit. If you refuse to return a deposit, I'll have no choice but to involve my lawyer and go the small claims route to pursue that. No dealership in their right mind wants to open up a can of worms with a lawsuit over $1,000. They're smarter than that. So I don't like doing this. This is the most extreme, but if you were to mention a lawyer in it, they'll be like, okay, hey, you might get a phone call back from that GM, or you might get a phone call back from that sales manager saying, okay, hey, let's work something out here, okay? And they might get creative with you. They might say, hey, although I'm not going to give you $1,000 back, you can have $1,000 worth of service at our service department, or $1,000 worth of auto parts for your vehicle when you do buy your Tundra elsewhere, right? You can use it here. So they'll maybe get creative with you. They should get creative with you if they don't honor a refund at that point. In addition to that, a lesser example would be, say, hey, I'm going to be reaching out to the Better Business Bureau and filing a complaint. Let them know that. And again, you're only saying this if they have pushed back to you and they're not being cooperative at all. Let them know that. Say, hey, I'm going to file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau. Just want to let you know, and leave them a couple 1-star reviews between you and your spouse or whatever. 1-star reviews on Google explaining what happened. And well, no dealership wants to have a black eye like that. So hopefully they would be receptive to you at that point and just try to work something out with you. But again, I do try to resort to kindness up front, as I do believe that they are most receptive to that. They tend to be anyway. So those are some ways to try to mitigate any kind of headache with that refund. And really, if you look into state laws, all with the exception of maybe 5 or 6 different states, I can look it up, but most states require them to offer you a refund. So if they didn't provide a service to you, if they didn't actually give you a tangible product, they're required to give you your money back. It'd be different if you put a deposit and they gave you something and you actually got something physically for it, not just a piece of paper saying, hey, I'm not going to get my money back. They actually have to give you a service or a project, something tangible, for them to actually withhold a deposit. So there is some legality to it too, but I would say you don't even need to get into that 9 out of 10 times. So I just wanted to walk through that with you guys. When it comes to refunds, you're going to get it back. Just try to be kind with them at first, and I do think they'll be receptive to you. And now for the other piece of the equation. I'm bringing this up because I see it way too often, almost a scary amount. So when people go in to buy a vehicle, they'll go back to the finance department. The finance officer, the finance manager will say, hey, all right, hey, we can get you into this brand new Toyota Tacoma for your XX amount of dollars. Your interest rate is going to be 9.75. 9.75, that's high, right? 9.75, that's the best interest rate we could have got. However, I can offer you a few protection packages, and if you buy these protection packages for this vehicle, we can bring that down to 7.25% for you. That is illegal. Those finance officers, finance managers should be ashamed of themselves, but we see that greedy tactic deployed all too often, even today. I've seen it, I've witnessed it, I've experienced it firsthand. Unfortunately, that can be a really sour situation, and I would argue that most people end up falling victim to it because they don't know any wiser, right? So what I encourage you to do in those situations, always just ask, hey, say, if that does come up, say, hey, can I see the bank offer to you? May I see the direct bank offer to you? Because if they're dropping it to 7.25%, what that means is you were approved for 7.25% on that vehicle from the bank. They're just giving you a higher amount to try to trick you into dropping that interest rate by buying additional cash grabs from them, those protection packages, because that makes the dealership, the finance office, a lot of money when they do that. So that's just one thing I wanted to kind of offer as a warning. It happens way too often nowadays. Don't fall victim to that. Ask to see the bank offer directly and then go from there. All right, guys, we'll wrap up the video there. So in summary, I honestly believe that most dealerships, most management at dealerships will do the right thing when it comes to honoring or giving refunds back for holding deposits. I do believe that they want to have that long sight vision in mind for you. Hey, if I return your deposit here, maybe, just maybe, you'll remember that come time to buy your next vehicle, and you'll actually consider us again, right? They don't want to lose a lifetime customer just over $500 or $1,000. That is very nearsighted of them to do, and I would argue most dealerships will do the right thing in those circumstances. And when it comes to the buy down of your interest rate on your vehicle, just remember, always ask to see the bank offer before you commit to buying any additional protection packages for your vehicle. Don't let them fool you into doing that. So we'll wrap up the video there, guys. Let me know if this is helpful at all. Hopefully it is. And as always, I sincerely appreciate your support. If you'd consider liking and subscribing, it means a lot, and I'm definitely grateful for it. Thanks for watching as always. Till next time.